Ace Attorney, back for another night. Yeah, Pokemon. I'll probably do Pokemon on Sunday. Again, I'm just going to explore in my spare time this weekend when I have a chance. And we'll do more story on Sunday. And yeah, like I just said, there's also a Tetris 99 Maximus Cup tonight, so we will be participating in that at 3 a.m. or a little after 3 a.m. Have you seen the live-action Yu Yu Hakusho yet? No, I have not. I have seen a single clip. It does not look good. It does not look... I'm going to watch it. It's only 5 episodes, so I'm going to give it a shot. I'm sure it's only like 20 minutes per episode, so it'll be fine. 100 minutes of it, I could withstand that. From what I can just guess, given by the trailer, it's gonna fall in that exact 0 point between live action One Piece, which people are saying is like a 10 out of 10 or like a 9 out of 10, and Cowboy Bebop, which, you know, everyone said live action Cowboy Bebop was like a 2 or a 1 out of 10. I feel that this Yu Yu Hakusho show, this live action Yu Yu Hakusho, that's how they should write it, Yu Yu Haku and then dash SHOW. I feel it's gonna land at like a solid like 5 on the 5 out of 10, on the 0 out of 10 meter. It's not gonna be bad, but it's not gonna be good. My biggest issue is just it looks so joyless. Like from the trailers, there's no comedy to it. Which, you know, Yu Yu Hakusho, it's an anime. It had a lot of slapstick in it. Had a lot of funny moments, funny banter between Yusuke and Kuwabara. I feel like this live action one's gonna just gut all of that for the sake of keeping it brief. But who knows? Who knows? Where's your red eye, Hiei? I will watch it this weekend and I'll let you know. It should not take very long. It's only 5 episodes, which makes me wonder how much ground they're covering in those 5 episodes. Anyway, Ace Attorney. So, we proved that Luke Atme stole the urn, and he's actually Masked a Mask. But in doing so, we have now somehow connected Ron DeLite to the murder of his former boss, Kane Bullard, and we investigated it, and now we're in court, gonna defend him. We get to see our coffee boy again. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ron DeLite. The defense is ready, Your Honor. You're ready? Preparation is the last refuge of the weak. Okay, settle down, everyone. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Godot. Ugh, he's got the judge in the palm of his hand. Yet again. Ron DeLite is simply too young to be sent to war. That's all. I'm afraid I have no idea what that means, Mr. Godot. Ha! Then you need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is war. But that is exactly why you must be more precise in your wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right? Yes, well then, let me briefly summarize the details of this case. The judge is taking charge like he knows what's going on for a change. The victim is Kane Bullard, CEO of KB Security. Blech. That's what I think of when I see that face. Blech. His body was found in a safe at approximately 9 a.m. on the morning of the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated as 1 a.m. of the previous day. And that's when our little lost kitten dropped the ball. That little lost kitten is, of course, the defendant. Very well then, Mr. Godot, please call your first witness. I never drink more than 17 cups of coffee during any given trial. But the first one is always the best. Mr. Godot, your witness? Okay then, let's hear what the defendant, Mr. Ron DeLite, has to say for himself. The defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? Maybe a bit of a disadvantage having the defendant testify, but... I remember when Mia was defending me. She allowed me to testify so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then, and I totally fucked it by lying. We have no objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. DeLite to testify. Ha! You've got guts, Trite. Was just about to come in when I got an email from someone from Turkey had signed into your Microsoft account, which you barely ever use. Had to juggle passwords, verification codes to settle things. That happened to me with PayPal a few years ago, and I had to, like, recover my PayPal account. It was extremely stressful, but they left a back door open, which I was through one of the password recoveries, So I was able to recover everything, thankfully, before anything was stolen. I was mortified, though. I immediately put on two-factor authentication for PayPal, which I'm generally not a fan of. I don't feel like two-factor authentication is very safe, very secure, but whatever. Also saw a few failed attempts to sign in from a bunch of different countries. That's weird. Must have been a phishing. It must have been someone behind a VPN. Sweet Jesus Christo, $475 for books. Oh Jesus. Why shipping costs? If you're buying that many books, they should be paying. Shipping should be free. All right then, Mr. Ron DeLight, please take the stand. You did it, didn't you? Yes. What? No. That's not true. For a moment there, I thought we set the record for the shortest trial ever. Well, Mr. DeLight already looks plenty guilty with that face he's making. And once he opens his big mouth, he'll probably put the last nail in his own coffin. Ha. Very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullard, why'd you go to KB Security? Well, It's kind of hard to say. Boy, I wish I could go home. Now then, let's hear some testimony about what happened. Twitch also freaked me out just now because there was an ad for buying something from Amazon at the bottom of your screen when I have Twitch ad blocker extension. Yeah, Twitch is getting annoying with the ads. You might not be able to block them the way you used to. It's certified, man. That's also how much the official tests are. Shit. My visit to KB Security. That evening around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was. "1 a.m., the exact time the murder took place. The weak get washed away by the tides of fate. The strong drink it up. Ha! It's bitter today, too. Just like my destiny. You'd never know from the way he's chugging it down. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please." Godot probably pisses really hard after a trial. 1 a.m., huh? You're absolutely sure about that? Yes, that's even what my watch said when I was entering the CEO's office. No. Actually, I'm not really sure. My watch was slow, and my internal clock was also a bit. 1 a.m., that's the exact time the victim, Mr. Bullard, was murdered, correct? Wow, I did the anime outtake. Every time I see Bullard and murdered, I think of the live dub outtake where Eric Vale says murdered, and he laughs at himself afterwards. 1 a.m., that's the exact time the victim, Mr. Bullard, was murdered, correct? It's also hard because you see Bullard, and then you could kind of slur that into murdered. It's too late for a coffee date, that's for sure. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. Why am I reading this again? Again, I've read this already. It ordered you there. It was the first time I'd ever gotten a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere. Does that mean you've gotten other blackmail letters then? Oh, of course, things like steal this and... Oh, why don't you save those for later, Mr. DeLight? Please don't say any more. Now, what should I do? So what did the blackmail letter in question say? It said to bring $50,000. Money, eh? Perfect motive for committing murder. Oh, but wait! I never intended to pay the money anyway. Oh, is that right? After all, he had nothing to hold over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of. An important point indeed. Witness, let's have that added to your testimony. Yes, sir. Ha! A muddy mud skipper in outer space has a better chance of surviving than I do. Weird random Ren and Stimpy reference, but okay. Blackmail threat didn't scare me. It wasn't going to cause me trouble or anything. Oh, that wasn't right. Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence. It does? I don't see anything contradictory. Huh? Really? Objection denied. Try to think before you make accusations, Mr. Wright. Whoops, that didn't go so well. So what were you being blackmailed about, anyway? The blackmail letter said if you don't want your identity revealed, correct? I'm sure it was referring to the whole mask-to-mask thing. But I wasn't worried. Mr. Bullard didn't have anything on me. He didn't? Anyway, I don't care what anyone says about me. Just as long as Desi believes in me. So that's why Mr. Light didn't believe he was mask-to-mask. That's why I knew they were just hollow threats. I've been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where I'm rereading the same lines again. Why do we keep doing this? Used to be a security chief for KB Security, right? Yes, that's right. Security chief, you? And yet, a year ago, you were fired without notice. Revenge for an old grudge? Perfect motive for murder, wouldn't you say? This isn't good. Maybe I should change the subject? What did you do after being fired from KB Security? I spent a lot of time looking for work, but then I decided I wanted to start something myself. Not good. This is going from bad to worse. So I started looking at books, TVs, movies, and learning all I could about masked men. Masked men? So you wanted to try drawing a comic, right? About masked men? No, that's not right. I wanted to become... Your Honor, let's move along, shall we? But you asked the question. You're being quite odd today, Mr. Wright. Way to bring the spinning buzzsaw one notch closer to your own neck, Ace Attorney. There wasn't much into his testimony, was there? Sounds like he's avoiding something. At least that's what it sounds like to me. Uh-oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. We better be careful. If we don't find a way to make him spill the beans, we'll never get closer to the truth. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Why was he fired? Mr. Delight, please tell us why you were fired from your job. Well, the world is filled with those who have said, I wish I had never asked that. Okay, then I take it back. Defendant, please answer the question. Damn it. I needed money. You needed money? Well, you see, Desi loves to spend it. It's kind of her hobby. Not exactly the best hobby in the world, huh, Nick? My salary wasn't nearly enough, so I stole data from the company. Come again? KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies. And since I was a security team chief, you stole some data and sold it. Mr. Bullard found out and I was fired immediately. What? Wish I had never asked that. I was somehow able to keep it a secret. It made it seem like I'd quit on my own. What is it, Nick? You don't look so good. Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You do well to remember that. He sure told you. So you admit that you stole data from your company, is that correct? Yes. I'm sorry. Box is almost here. Nice. We got you now, Mr. Content Creator. What? Oh, content creator. Whitney Smee. It's a female Luke at me. Whitney Smee. Witness me! This is a very important fact. Please add it to your testimony. Oh man, this whole thing took a big turn for the worse. Crashed and then blew up. It's gonna take the jaws of life to rip this case from the clutches of disaster. Ugh. You fired me for selling company secrets, but Desi doesn't know about that. Why would you do something like that? Well, for Desi's hobby. What else? Wasting money, huh? It's not a waste! So Mr. Light doesn't know her husband was fired, does she? So it would seem. I'm not sure what to think about couples who keep secrets like that from each other. Can't believe it. This case has gotten even Maya to think seriously about couples. Please try to stay focused, Mr. Wright. Should be there today. Cool. You fired me for selling company secrets, but Desi doesn't know about that. I don't know if this is where I should be.
Objection.
Here we go. I knew I had to press an earlier statement. I was like, wait a minute. He said Kane doesn't have anything on him, but he clearly fired him for stealing secrets, so I'm afraid that reason isn't going to hold up anymore. What do you mean? The victim had no proof the defendant was Mask to Mask. But you were the one who stole company secrets only 1 year earlier. Their hair looks like cinnamon rolls. Yeah, it does. But that was all over once I was fired. But it's true the fact that I stole secrets was kept under wraps. Even so, there was no reason for me to pay up now, a whole year later. Is that really true? What is it, Nick? The fact that Ron was stealing company data. I wonder if he would have become a problem if that ever became public knowledge. What if he would have had a problem if that ever became public knowledge? Yeah? Mr. Delight, I believe you would have been in considerable trouble if your identity as a company data thief, was made public. Mr. Wright, what are you trying to do by bullying your own client? Men are like the colonies of bacteria. The more heat you apply, the faster they grow. That's exactly right. Well then, feel free to keep up the heat, my little lawyer amigo. Little lawyer amigo? Yes, now come on. Provide some evidence to back up your assertion. Why would Mr. Delight want to keep his data stealing secret from going public? I'm sure it's probably because of Desiree. Mr. Delight, what you said just now doesn't match what you told me yesterday. Huh? What doesn't? I think you must have been scared. Very scared. Godot is part of the X-Men. He's not one of he doesn't count for that because he's not actually a man. He's an X-Man because he's a Cyclops. Of having a certain person find out your secret. A certain person? Miss Desiree Delight, the defendant's wife. Oh, but I... Listen to me, my Desi, she's... Looks like if I just sit back and relax, the fun will end before it truly begins. Godot! Yes, we know. It was all your wife's fault. What do you mean? Mr. Delight stole company data to pay for his wife's spending habit, which he was fired for. Unable to face his wife, someone used his dirty little secret to blackmail him. And that is how this murder came about. Oh, No, everything's falling neatly into place for him. Don't talk about my Desi like that, or you'll be sorry! Sorry. I'm sorry for sniffling so much. Well, it seems that we've learned a great deal of things here so far. What do you think, Nick? I didn't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just 20 minutes. Clearly there was sufficient motive for the murder. He stole data for his wife and he killed to protect his secret. A family man who cared just a little too much. The motive is clear. Let's move on. What happened to the crime scene at 1 in the morning, Mr. Delight? Come now, tell us. We're all ears. At the CEO's office, the planes are landing. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Wow, again, I wonder whose shadow that is. Suddenly I was hit in the forehead. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I wouldn't have been killed. When I came to, Mr. Bullard was lying there, dead. I see. Suddenly hit in the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided similar testimony. He said that Mask to Mask struck him on the head from behind. Of course, since Atme turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie. No one's going to believe a pathetic lie like that. What are you saying? I really was attacked. We'll find out if what you say is true or not during the cross-examination. Got that, Mr. Trite? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend. You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Godot. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. Wearing what? That? Could you please clarify what you're referring to? Why, my Mask de Mask costume, of course. Wait just a moment. Mask de Mask? Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as Mask de Mask. And then I descended upon the office of the CEO of KB Security. What? Nick, did you know about this? He never told me this. I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me, either. Even I didn't know that. Seems our little friend really likes to keep secrets. I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. Wait, that's not right. Sometimes, you know, it's just how things just slip your mind. Ha! My 6th cup of coffee is staring up at me coldly. At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony. I'd have been killed if I hadn't been wearing my Mask de Mask costume. That's something annoying about the new Pokemon DLC involving version exclusives, really. What? That there's legendaries that are exclusive? Because I knew about that. That's been the case for a while. Why are you dressed up as Mask de Mask? Why? Because I am Mask de Mask, of course. What are you talking about? Mask de Mask's trial is being held next door. Ah, yes, I guess so. Anyway, at that time... Ooh. Excuse me. I make a big burp there. Thought I was being blackmailed over the Mask to Mask issue. So I thought I should go as him, just to be safe. Oh boy. Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I'd expected. 2 Paradox Legendaries are only available in raids. Yeah, I mean, that was like that to begin with. The Suicune Paradox and the Virizion Paradox, they were released earlier this year as raid only, but they weren't in any of the Pokedexes until now. They're in the Blueberry Pokedex, but they're not, they were originally catchable through raids. They've already been released, yeah. I have both already. That's why it took longer than I'd expected. Yes, Karma, trust me, I felt the same way talking about it yesterday. It took a lot longer. What is he talking about? What do you mean by took a lot longer? Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught in the safe door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullard's body. What was that? Back up a second! Yes? You were the one that hid the body in the safe? Well, yeah. Inconceivable! Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking? Yeah, also, just to clarify, those 2 Paradox Legendaries are at the very end of the Pokedex. So if you don't have them, you're not technically missing them. There's no spots for them. They just go at the very end as the last 2 in the list. And I don't think you need them to consider it completed. That being said, you can get them without raiding if you know how, technically. Well, I mean, you should trade them. Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking? Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine? What? The answer's simple. When they take them off. As usual, I have no idea what you're saying. Do you mean that Mr. Delight hid the body because he's the murderer? Ha! So you're not as stupid as you look. His metaphor this time was really obscure. Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you? Well, yeah. Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure you add this to your testimony. Yes, sir. Uh-oh. Looks like a storm front is moving in over the fair weather judge. Panicked and hid the body in the safe. Took about 10 minutes. Why'd you hide the body in the safe anyway? Well, because it wouldn't fit in a drawer. That's not exactly what I meant. When I saw the corpse, I kinda lost it. I thought, if they find his corpse, they'll think I did it. I think you had a simpler reason than that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body. That certainly makes more sense. Hold on. 10 minutes? What is it, Nick? I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide the body? And spend 10 whole minutes to do it? Under those circumstances? What circumstances? Oh! Hey, Nick, if you think his behavior was so strange, why don't you present some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were? That's it. I'll take a look at the court record and present some evidence. We heard this from Mr. Delight yesterday, didn't we? There's not much in his testimony, either. Betcha he's still hiding something. I wouldn't be surprised. We'll just have to draw it out of him. I just hope he doesn't make things any more complicated. Who is this suspicious shadow? If there were 1,000 of me, and even if one knew, I'd tell you. Trust me. His dodging all of our questions is not helping him win this case. Okay then, how did you know the victim, Mr. Bullard? What? Then how was the victim, Mr. Bullard, at the time? What do you mean by how was he? Was he already dead? Was he still alive? Maybe he was the one who hit you in the first place. That's a good question. What do you think, Mr. Wright? Forget it. Buzzer went off once at 1:02 a.m. Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record? And what might this be? The record for the emergency buzzer that connects to the CEO's office to security. If the button in the office is pressed, the security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pushed once, at 1:02 a.m. What? If Mr. Ron DeLight was truly the murderer, he would have ran as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been heading his way. Objection! Ha! Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the building. Objection! Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them. Objection! But, as it turns out, the guard never came. That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser who had just gotten punched in the face by his new his ex's new boyfriend and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. DeLight could have known. Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Mr. DeLight didn't even notice the buzzer going off. This buzzer is extremely loud. There's no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is. Conscious? What do you mean by that? Fine. Let's hear your theory. Larry, what the fuck? Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. DeLight said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes. Unconscious? So he fainted? That's why Mr. DeLight didn't know the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body. So what are you trying to say? Mr. DeLight was knocked out and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, it can only mean that there was another person in that room. That's right. Whoever it was, they knocked out Ron DeLight and then pressed the buzzer. Order in the court. Mr. Wright, this is... This is preposterous. If it was this kid, Ron DeLight is the one who killed Kane Bullard. Then who pressed the buzzer? It was... the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. He must have held on long enough to push that button. So Kane Bullard himself sounded that buzzer. What is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright? I need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene, but how? Can I prove it wasn't Kane Buzzard who pulled the Bullard? I can prove it, alright. The defense's opinion is this, Your Honor. Godot's a big weenie. He probably wears sneaky diapers to court. This piece of evidence proves that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer. There are no fingerprints on it. I believe this is the piece of I believe this is the piece of I believe this is the piece of incontrovertible. I believe this is the piece of incontrovertible evidence you were looking for. The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it? Absolutely not. Hey, come on now. At least give some thought to what you say before opening your mouth. The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself the clue. Now I'm the one who's clueless. This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had really pressed it himself, naturally he would have left his fingerprints behind. Ron Delight obviously wiped them off. Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment. He touched that button. I know he did. The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Masked and Mask. And Masked and Mask always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have had to wipe the button free of fingerprints? Order, order, order! It would seem. I've been forced to eat crow. Wonder what blend number crow-flavored coffee is. I've used that phrase before, eating crow. I don't remember the origins. I know I've looked up the origins of it before. I just forget what they are. It's like some old. It's an old saying, but essentially it means like just desserts or something. Like, does it mean just, or does it mean I'm wrong? I can't remember. I'm not gonna have to look it up. However, if the real killer was there at the scene. Colloquial idiom used in English-speaking countries that means humiliation by admitting having been proven wrong after taking a strong position. Crow's a carrion eater that is presumably repulsive to eat in the same way that being proven wrong might be emotionally hard to swallow. The exact origin of the idiom is unknown, but it probably began with an American story published around 1850 about a dim-witted New York farmer. There you go. Why would that person press the emergency buzzer? Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger? What's with this awkward silence all of a sudden? Huh. Looks like you're fresh out of politics. Looks like you're fresh out of politics, you douchebag. They're on to you, Nick. Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard at around 1 a.m. And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place, right? The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer. Jesus Christ, my ears. Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed. Security was supposed to respond. Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say. Very well, then. Oh, you've got some guts. I like that in an opponent. Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer? Not to find out what it did. They didn't mean to call the security guard. The killer knew that if they pressed that button, a guard would come running. And that's exactly what they wanted. Do you mean to say the killer called the guard on purpose? Yes, although as it turned out, he never showed up. Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time. Ha, what a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in? No, I'm not. When the buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Ron Delight, who was out cold. And the third person, the real killer. Again, they just, the silhouette is like so obvious. Hypothetically, yes. Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Ron Delight. And if any security guards came running in at that time, they would think I was the murderer. Yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective. to frame Rhonda Light for the murder. Purposely takes a drink to do a spit take. What a comedic... What a commitment to comedy. Order, order, order! It would seem. I've been made to eat my words once again. Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee. Mr. Wright, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait a second. I'm the one and only masked in masks, so... Nick, you mean the real killer is... We're going to drag that person in here right now. Oh, fucking hell. I lost my connection. Alright. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Yeah, Twitch just had like a little blip. I don't know what happened there. My internet was fine. I was able to immediately reconnect. But Twitch was just refusing my connection for a bit. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Hey, Sky J Bird. Yeah, I'm back. Hello. Sorry about that. We're going to drag that person in here right now. I don't know how much I said before I blipped out there. Essentially, Maya said, that person is the murderer, and now Phoenix is like, yep, we're gonna drag that person in here right now. But, who is it? I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard. Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Ron Delight for the murder of Kane Bullard? It's obviously, look at me. Look at me! Witness me! Detective Luke Atme. He's the only one who could have done it. Ace Detective. Luke Atme? You mean Mask to Mask did it? Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Mask to Mask at all. You're back, you've arrived. Oh, you missed my internet going. You missed my Twitch pissing itself and me having to reconnect. Welcome back, Karma. He is in actuality the true murderer of Kane Bullard. Order! Order! Mr. Wright, explain yourself! Theft and murder. Which is the more serious crime? They're not even close. Murder is more serious, of course. It's a capital crime subject to a capital punishment. Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. When Luke Atme confessed, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom. Of course, a famous detective was unmasked as, well, as Mask to Mask. Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along. To be found guilty, Mask to Mask had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. I don't know why you're getting ads on the stream. I am not running ads. I don't run ads manually. They should not be there. That's annoying that Twitch is doing that. The only ad you should be seeing is the one when you load up the stream for the first time. Because I can't stop that from happening since I'm an affiliate. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Mask to Mask was Luke Atme's airtight, watertight, and unassailable alibi. A guilty verdict as an alibi. You know, it's almost time. For what? For Luke Atme's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial, after all. If we're going to stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course, that's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder. Mr. Luke Atme's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If we were to intrude and fail to provide adequate proof of his crime, Mr. Delight would be left with no grounds for appeal. Am I really sure about this? Ha! A bet's only as good when your life's on the ante. Mr. Wright, I believe in you. Mr. Delight. So, please, I'm begging you! Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this? Phoenix. Oh god, the voices, they're back. What was that? Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take the path of trust. That voice. It sounds like... Mia! Your Honor, the defense requests an immediate recess. Ha. So that's your answer, huh? Very well, I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Luke Atme to the stand. Yes, Your Honor. October 14th, 11:58 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 5. Well, Sir Detective Atme. I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly. Oh no, Sir Detective Atme. You were the one who... That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial. This court finds the defendant, Luke Atme. You'll see that. You'll be seeing that, Judge, a bit more of this game. Wait! Don't hand down your verdict yet, please! Well, well, Sir Lawyer. Welcome to my courtroom. Who's this hoser, eh? My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law, and I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Atme. Accusation? You accuse Mask de Mask? That man is not Mask de Mask. He's just a ruthless murderer. What? Canadian judge, yeah. It's funny because he's related to the other judge. He's the other judge's younger brother. To be continued. Yeah, I believe he's referred to as the judge's brother, and he's younger than him. Though, by how much we don't know. But yeah, he speaks with a Canadian accent. You'll be seeing him in 2 cases later on in this game. October 14th, 12:14 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 4. My sis? I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice. So then, she's still alive, inside your heart. Nicky boy! Oh, Mr. Light. Is it true that Detective Atme is... Is it true that the Is it true that Detective is the real killer? To be honest, we don't have any definitive proof. But he's the only one who could have done it. But wasn't he at Lordly Taylor that night? Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard? Oops, it's almost time. Better get back to the courtroom. I need to find some solid proof. It's gonna happen sooner. It's gotta happen sooner rather than later. I could drop some solid proof for you right now. Just let me go to the bathroom real quick. October 14th, 12:21 p.m. Courtroom number 6. Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Luke Atme, please take the stand. Well, well, how do you do, Sir Lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly. I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. Not when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Mask de Mask. I'm sorry, I'm afraid that even the great Luke Atme has no idea what you mean. Of course, I've been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here. You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Mask de Mask. Indeed, it was truly a play to fool the ignorant masses. Truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example. So you continue to insist that you are, in fact, Mask de Mask. Of course. Very well, Luke Atme. Let us begin with this simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., Kane Bullard was murdered. Where were you at the time? One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge. Thanks. Alright, Mr. Atme. The night of the murder. Speak. Boy. Sit, boy, sit. We're all ears. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. The alibi. The alibi. I was stealing the urn as Mask de Mask, just as I announced that I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was like a pathetically easy job. I don't know why I threw the word like in there. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured Mask the Mask was the same time as the murder. Seems the main point of discussion will be this photo of the crime scene. Everything else until now was part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well. Even the great Mask the Mask cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to receive. Unfortunately, Mr. Atme, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is too foolish to know that he's a fool. I think he's trying to say you're full of it, Nick. The only thing that he's full of it, the only thing that's full of it is his alibi. Is his alibi. I didn't do any voiceover auditions tonight. I've been feeling really off this week. Still in the oranges is blah, blah. I had more than enough time. Blah, blah. Photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. But is he ugly? Yeah. So by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here? Is that correct? Indeed, it is. That is it. That's the very thing that proves I committed the crime. You broke a glass cup, Karma. How do you manage to do this stuff? The very thing that proves that you committed the crime. When you think about it, it's really odd. You say that almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose.
Objection!
He was simply caught by that very camera that he had set up. We all have days like that. Indeed, it turned out that there was no such thing as the perfect crime after all. Life is truly an ironic thing. A sad blue melody. Looks like I'd better gather some more information for now. You broke a dish once and cut yourself. Oh, that's how I cut my finger open at my old job. I was cleaning a coffee pot and it broke in the sink. And I didn't notice that it sliced my finger open. Because my hands were wet. If he's truly the killer, there's got to be something phony in that photo. About this camera that took that photograph. Oh, come now, it's all too clear what you're thinking. Huh? You think I altered the timestamp on that photograph, don't you? I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordly Taylor's staff that printed that picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered. I see. Looks like I better find something else that could be suspicious. So this alibi is false? Has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security. But I'm not really spotting anything unusual. There are two possibilities. Either the Mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. So this photograph is the proof, correct? Indeed it is. And the man in the photo was certainly wearing a mask. That is why I'm called Mask the Mask. But conveniently, that also means there's no way to tell who this really is. What do you mean?
Objection!
Ha! Are you saying that this is not in fact Luke Atme? That it could be an accomplice dressed up as Mask the Mask to create an alibi? Oh, what an interesting idea. Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? If Luke Atme was at KB Security during the murder, then the Mask in this picture also has to be a fake. And there really was an accomplice. But right now, I have no idea who it was. I don't have any idea right now either. Baseless objections are just what this guy wants. There's got to be another way, and I'm going to find it. I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point. That's right. This was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. You sent the calling card to Lordly Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean that you sent the card out after you began your security watch, right? Indeed, there was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target. I see. You truly are evil, aren't you? Yes, evil is what I am. Hey, Nick, isn't there something odd about this? Detective Atme was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona. You know, that's true. It is kind of odd. More than time prepared is pathetically easy. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. there's anything different in these. Come on, think long and hard. Oh, this was the right thing. The basement warehouse and this picture that supposedly captures it. It's got to be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? You bet there is. Are you implying this picture's a fake? You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night, before the theft took place. And there's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night. Alright, well, let's hear what you have to say. What about this photograph do you find funny? The funny part is right here. Why, this is a blood stain. Ah, blood. Now this case is getting interesting. Not exactly. This stain is actually pink paint. Oh, just Danganronpa blood, and peach colored at that. From blood to peaches, this judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. The problem is with the photograph is not the paint. The problem is, when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse, it turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen. Well, Mr. Wright, what is supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint stains? The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following. I'm going to grab a drink while I type through this. I myself was there the night that theft took place, and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on that night, then that statue should have been there.
Objection.
But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner. Got a paper jam and broke a glass cup at the same time. Are you panicking, Karma? Just breathe. You're messing stuff up because you're panicking, I think. You're panicking Skywalkering all over the place. Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally? Your Honor, that statue is slightly larger than yourself, and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance. Ha! In that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why the statue was moved that night? Just happened at the same time, pre-panic. Can you do it, Nick? Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it? Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you're prepared with your answer. Now then, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime? Who moved it on the night of the crime? I guess Luke Atme did. It was either him or Adrian. The one who moved the statue is none other than Luke Atme. Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you go again on one of your strange delusions. Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for your strange delusions? It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night. That is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue? The reason for moving the golden statue. Here's where our battle really begins. Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move the statue? The reason can be found here in this photograph. Luke Atme, you pretended to be Masked in Mask, to create an alibi by showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would have been exposed like cheap film at a drugstore. That is why you had to move the statue. A single fatal flaw? Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does this lie exist? Naturally, the lie in the photo is the timestamp. What do you mean? I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atme went to KB Security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to be at Lordly Taylor at this time. But what does that have to do with the statue being moved? Remember, if you will, Your Honor, when was the statue placed beside the warehouse door? Well, the statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime. and it was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly. Luke Atme had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim. And so, in order for him to create an alibi for that time, he took the picture days before the murder took place. What the... Of course, the statue hadn't been brought down to the basement warehouse yet. Ah. So on the day of the crime, Mr. Atme must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? I mean, I guess because the rocking chairs hit the cat's tail. Wow, that's such a weird analogy, Phoenix. And metaphor. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it shouldn't be. And that is why Luke Atme had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match the way it had been in this photo. Ugh! Order! Mr. Atme, is this true? One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this? What's that? The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off on the night of the crime. It's true that the camera had been set up by the Lordly Taylor staff. However, the program used to manage that data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with it. Order! Order! Mr. Godot, what is the meaning of this? Yeah, imagine if a new prosecutor... Imagine if a new prosecutor was actually, like, didn't know how the other prosecutors acted, and he was like, what the fuck is going on here, when he tries to face Phoenix. Godot, I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down! My 11th cup. I promised to drink no more than 17 during a trial. Which means, I'm still good to the last drop. However, the defense has a very good point. A good point. So what? We are all but travelers on a road of infinite points. I think he's got his points mixed up with his other points. So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that the statue was moved in order to make it match. That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied. Which is, he can actually achieve drinking 100 cups of coffee, yeah. Time is always slow for him. There's 12. That it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped in the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams. That's very true. No way, don't fall for that, Your Honor. Hey, Mr. Damask. Yes? If there's no funny business in your actions as Mask Damask, there should be no problem with you telling us your strategy. So let's hear it. Yes, please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn. I first received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in the box in Zvari, and it was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th. That's pretty much all the stuff we've heard before, isn't it? Yeah, but we'll find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave. Witness, you're sure there are no mistakes this time? Zvani. Very well then, Mr. Wright. You may begin your cross-examination. I think I know what to go for this. And this photo that this is the photo that proves that, right? Indeed, to be honest, even if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much. Hey Nick, if this photo's a fake, Detective Atme might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken. That's true. You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. If we can prove that he's lying there, we could wrap this up and put a bow on it. I need to take a good hard look at the court record. Not a lot to go on, is there? The detective's been covering his tracks. There's only one thing we need to prove in this cross-examination. That he took this photo well before the actual night of the crime. Alright then, how do we do that? There's one thing Atme said very clearly. That he had never seen the urn before he stole it. We need to prove that he's lying. So you're sure that you've never seen the urn before? Indeed, you may ask Lady Andrews to confirm it for yourself. My security was focused entirely on the entrance to that warehouse. However, I, Luke Atme, let no information whatsoever slip through my fingers. You mean this calling card? That's right, that is without a doubt my calling card. Guess Mr. Delight didn't make this after all. Of course, because Atme knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play for him. Then no one entered the basement warehouse. Unfortunately, there were many different treasures being taken there. Thus, for a period of approximately 5 days, people were indeed going in and out of the warehouse. You mean this box? Yes, that pathetic box. Lady Andrews was especially taken with that urn, and she wouldn't let anyone enter the storeroom, not even me. Huh, interesting new tidbit. You were asked to guard the urn by Miss Adrian Andrews, is that correct? Indeed, it seemed that they had heard of my sparkling reputation. I see Miss Andrews is still attracting the weirdos. Better watch out too, Maya. Alright. Oh, that wasn't right. I held the urn in my hands for the first time. It was an extremely valuable treasure. Wait a minute. What if the pink box having the pink stains on it? No, it would have the pink stains in that photo, though, because that was after the paint was spilled. I actually don't know. Pretty sure it's the last statement. That wasn't right either. I forget. I forgore. Held the urn in his hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th. On the court record, about October 12th, 1 a.m. Yeah, but not... It's not... Obviously, the buzzer record doesn't have anything to do with this. None of the stuff that has to do with KB security is needed right now. It's gotta be something else. Wasn't the box. Time of death? Yeah, the time of death was 1 a.m. as well. Held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th. Adrian dropped the urns box 2 weeks ago. She also knocked over some paint. No. I don't think this is the right statement. Is the picture of the old urn? Nope, it is not. Maybe it's this one? Nope. Ah. Held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th. I'll be coming to purloin the most priceless work of art in the display in your Treasures of Khura'in exhibit. Take good care of the speckled urn, wouldn't you? That's it. Because he knew the paint was on it. Mr. Atme, if you really are Masked and Mask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course. Is there a problem with the calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Mr. Mask had written. Take a good care of that speckled urn. Now the speckled... excuse me, here... surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn. Yes, that's true, but so what? The truth be told, there's no way that Masked and Mask could have known about this pattern. What do you mean? This pink spotted pattern on this urn is actually nothing more than paint stains. Paint stains? And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor. I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite. The date of that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse. The urn was broken due to human error, or should I say, error-prone human. And that's when the pink paint got on the urn. Ugh, you can't be serious. And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means, Detective Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. And because this photo's a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water. Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself? Alright, that did it. He's broken. Nick? I think it's still a little too early for a victory pose. Huh? Ha. It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days. Conviction, you say? Yesterday we all decided unanimously that this man was Masked and Mask. And now we're calling for him to be a murderer? You don't think we're being we don't think we're being a tad fickle? Objection has been confirmed that Mia's watching from beyond, meaning you pansy is canon. Yeah. That's a good point. No way, don't fall for that too, Your Honor. You said that Luke Atme was the one who killed Kane Bullard. Let me ask you this. Why would he do it? An excellent point. Motive, Mr. Wright, motive. Might you my merry murderous motive manifest? Nicky's getting a second wind. If you prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on Ron DeLite, as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder. The only one with any motive we've seen is Ron DeLite. Isn't that right, detective? Indeed. According to my research, the boy's motive is clear. Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were. I'd be honored to, Sir Old-Timer. They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard evidence, this may be our only chance. Motive for murder. Look at me, had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Mask to Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron DeLite. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. DeLite for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he's Mask to Mask. That's why Mr. DeLite saw it fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy. So the victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant? Being a lawyer's hard. Everyone hates you and you aren't very good at it, yeah. I mean, not as much as you're a voice actor in anime, but still they hate you. Ha ha! Eric Vale doing that laugh, like, gives me life. I do that laugh all the time in front of Nessie. So the victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant? This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. A handwriting test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter. What? Written by Bullard. Cool. Very well, Mr. Wright. Begin your cross-examination. A motive for Christmas. Murder for Christmas. A motive for murder for Christmas. My brother and I like making fun of Hallmark Christmas movies because our mom loves them. So we always make jokes about the titles of them. A sled for Christmas. A husband for Christmas. A murder for Christmas. Brought to you by K Jewelers. Excuse me. Look at me, and no points over. I did this already. And who in the world is going to prove that? I will. After doing a thorough background check of Detective Atme and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in the report. Perhaps they were connected through their work? They are both involved in security. Nope. That was blunt. In any case, the only one with a motive was Mr. DeLite. Mistook. Thick burp for Christmas, hell yeah. That's right, mistook from the Old Norse mistaka, meaning to take an error. That wasn't what I meant. So who did the victim mistake Mask to Mask to be? Why, the answer's obvious. Ron DeLite, of course. Boy, I'd like to wipe that guy's smug look off of his face. Why would the victim mistake the defendant for Mask to Mask? Don't you already know that? Zvari, take a look at this newspaper. Oh, that's the famous Tear of Eminon. What a magnificent jewel. That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Well, that was Amy saying that, whoops. Should have been written in his voice. And furthermore, it also shows an ugly guard, namely the defendant. The defendant? The victim clearly misread the article, and Zvari, he got the wrong impression. The impression that this ugly security guard was in fact Mask to Mask. I see. That was an unusually reasonable deduction. You mean this blackmail letter right here? It says bring $50,000, and the handwriting was without a doubt the victim's? There's no mistake. We have an official report to prove it. But I don't see an addressee on this letter anywhere. An addressee? This letter was discovered in Ron DeLite's apartment, and Mr. DeLite did show up at the designated place in time. The fact that there is no addressee is irrelevant. I wonder... What's up, Nick? I just had a thought. What if the blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. DeLite? Whoa, do you have any evidence of that? For some reason, I just can't shake this feeling that there's something not quite right about this blackmail letter. Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied? And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. What do you mean by that? Oh my, I was certain you were already aware. Zvari! Cain Bullard had yet to forgive the young Mr. Delight, which is why he sent him to that letter upon mistakenly believing he was the thief. Here's a file that we discovered in Mr. Bullard's office. Evidence that Mr. Bullard was receiving money through blackmail. However, isn't this a bit odd? Why did the defendant pay Mr. Bullard the money, even though he wasn't actually mask to mask? On that point, there was an unfortunate bit of chance. Do you really think that story's gonna hold up? That assertion is not merely my own, I'm afraid. What do you mean? I have here a memo from Ron Delight's wife, Desiree Delight. Ronnie thinks he's masked a mask. Don't you feel sorry for him? Please don't think too badly of him. Ha! Well, Mr. Trite. Ugh. Was he trying to act like Miss Delight just now? Thought he was actually pretty convincing. Now that's just your imagination talking. Come now, Sir Lawyer. I'm afraid imagination isn't the right word for it. This is deduction, the result of carefully applied reasoning. Can we hear that careful reasoning for ourselves? No. It's a long story and better saved for another time. Very well, another time. Those so-called long stories aren't usually that long. At least not in my experience. So you want to try to connect Detective Atme to Mr. Bullard, right? Yeah, that's right. Hopefully it won't require surgery either. In that case, you'll have to talk about the blackmail. That's true. Was that blackmail letter really intended for Ron? Since we don't have enough evidence, you should press him for more testimony. Maybe I'll be able to shake some contradictions loose that way. Let's see, is there any... Oops, why'd I do that? I guess we just go whole ham here and assume that, Yep, okay, we were right. Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Atme? Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's alright. When you said that this letter was addressed to Ron Delight, I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction. Contradiction? I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that. You're one to talk. At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior? Indeed, time to man up, Mr. Wright. Show us the contradicting evidence in the content of the blackmail letter. Huh. Little 1-2-1 punch like that couldn't even faze me. I think you mean 1-2 punch. Mr. Wright, try thinking things through with a little more before finding fault with others. Wait, what? Ouch, I sure felt that punch, Your Honor. Hey, let's try reading that blackmail letter one more time. Something... what? No, what? Oh, we gotta do all this again? Jesus. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day instead. I don't understand, like, how do I present that? What am I actually supposed to do here? Cam data? No. Why would that have to do with this? You know, I'll take that red diamond you received the other day instead. What does the red diamond have to do with anything? These? Nope, that was wrong either. Where is it? Wait, hold on. No. Ah! What am I doing wrong here? Wait, what? Hold up, what I oh, because it went to the next, went to the next statement. Whoops. There's a special game over in this, case. Not really a game over, not like a special game over, but there's a special fail condition. I think I know, because we're trying to prove why it wasn't Ron. From estimate, he was stealing is directed by blackmail letters. Probably this. No? Or maybe? Wait, hold on. It's one of those fake outs. No, it isn't a fake out. So that wasn't right either! Oh my god! What the fuck? Come on! I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. was this? Yep. Yeah. Was the newspaper. You were right. Take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It contains a picture of the Tear of Eminon, a stolen jewel. What about it? The problem is this jewel's color. Color? I'm not much for discussing color myself. According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day. Red? Which means, the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the Tear of Eminon that Mask and Mask stole at all. Wait, why is that? This blackmail letter has nothing to do with the Tear of Eminon. I thought this had to do with, like, everything altogether. I'm confused. And your point is, Mr. Trite? So you're trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else? That's what you're trying to say, right, Trite? This is what you're trying to say, right, Mr. Wright? Well, that is what you're trying to say, right, Nick? Yes. This is who Kane Bullard was actually blackmailing. Naturally, it was you, Detective Atme. Do you have some sort of basis for that claim? You've been personally involved in every single Mask to Mask case. And in the last case, you recovered what was stolen and received a jewel as your reward. A jewel? Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring. That is the diamond referred to in the letter. Which means that Kane Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you. Ah! Order in the court. Order, I say. It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Trite. But it's really round? Yeah, I guess. Uh-oh, I don't like the way he said that. Kane Bullard blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you for real? Yes, I am. Nick, come on, stand up to him. Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world. Yes, it certainly does. Kane Bullard threatened to make Luke Atme's identity public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep a secret. So just what was that identity? Atme killed Kane Bullard because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he was trying to keep a secret? Yeah, the shape of the jewel doesn't really matter all that much. In fact, a lot of jewels are just different types of emeralds and rubies, even if they're not the right color. This is what it all comes down to, Nick. The identity that Luke Atme wanted to desperately keep his secret identity was Ace Detective, Mask to Mask, a blackmailer. Luke Atme was a blackmailer.
Objection.
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you saying that Atme was blackmailing someone else on top of that? You have to admit that it does sound a little odd. It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme. But Ron DeLite was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. Oops, sorry, I missed that. Ron was given the plans to do the heists, which would mean he would be Mask to Mask. That is what we're claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. DeLite steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Luke Atme. Shh! Silence! Hee. Now I see. It's all becoming clear. What is? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless with a tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong? Twitch is doing a thing again? It looks fine on my end. Yeah, I'm not losing connection. That might be your internet. How did you... You said that I, Luke Atme, was blackmailing Ron DeLite? In which case, I would naturally know all about his relation to Mask the Mask. Oh, yeah. Ron DeLite started receiving plans from his second crime onward, right? Which means I learned of his identity when he committed that first crime. Good point. You certainly couldn't have had blackmailed him otherwise. In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atme know that Ron DeLite was masked in Mask? There's that newspaper article. I think I see it. See what? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief trying to be the center of attention. What do you mean? This newspaper clipping. It has a picture of you and Ron DeLite in this guard uniform. It seems that Mask the Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket. That sounds far too stupid to be true. Correct. With tricks like that he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atme. That's when you learned that Ron DeLite was masked in Mask. What the? Wasn't he supposed to be masked in Mask? Not only that, it looks like he wasn't even an ace detective. I can't believe it. He was just a slimy blackmailer. What a fraud, trying to pass himself off as an ace detective. Why, how dare you expose me like that? Why, I mean, I've never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective, and also masked in Mask. Why can't you understand that? I'm afraid you're neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity. Why, you? How dare you even dare to... There's a big mouth of yours. You're all real fools. Fools, I say. None of you could compare me to my genius. You're all just jealous. Sogun discaramante. Commander something. I can't read that. Ace detective cannot handle blackmail, murder, threats. I'll get away with all of it. It's enough to make one laugh. Ace defective, yeah. It would seem we finally arrived at the real answer. That was quite a performance by Mr. Atme. Bailiff, please prepare a cell for Mr. Atme.
Objection!
The hammer that strikes too fast has no time to aim. What do you mean? I'm already prepared to deliver my ruling. Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge. You don't get much more in your face than that. It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Trite. What do you... It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atme was a filthy blackmailer. And that he wasn't at Lordly Taylor the night of the murder. That's right. That's why he's the one who killed Mr. Bull... But... There's still one thing you have yet to prove. What's that? Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene. Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful excuse for a man was at KB security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered. No. No way! Order. Order in the court! Well, Mr. Wright, this is it. This is the final round. Gotta prove that Atme was at Mr. Buller's office on that night. But can you really prove that? That's long enough, Mr. Trite. I want to hear your answer. Sorry, I do this, but again, can't lose here. That night, Luke Atme was at KB Security, and the defense... I can't prove it. Just as I thought. But, if we hear more of Detective Atme's testimony...
Objection!
Unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Trite. What do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony. That's what I mean. What? Have you forgotten? Luke Atme is here after we interrupted his own trial. And you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as Mask to Mask. No. Well, now, Sir Lawyer, seems that love wins out in the end after all. I'm the ace detective as well as Mask to Mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Ron Delights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with my full force of my ace detectiveness. Order in the court! That's enough deliberation over this witness. I can't believe this. At this rate, Ron is... Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We could look for more evidence and... By then, it'll be too late. Huh? Why? Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law. Double jeopardy? Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts, and it applies to this witness as much as it applies to anyone else. Mr. Atme will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as Mask to Mask, which means he'll be innocent as far as the murder of Kane Bullard is concerned. No way. The fact that you were unable to prove Mr. Atme's guilt of that crime here means that he will never be tried again as Kane Bullard's murderer. Now there's nothing I can possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke Atme, will go free. We've cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today, and as long as there's no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections? And I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atme.
Objection!
I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this is what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result. How did you... Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets. That voice. No way. Long time no see, Phoenix. Mia! This is the true power of the Crime channeling technique. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey. Now, let's do this. What? There's nothing more we can do, Mia? Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine. Not yet. The testimony's not over yet. What do you mean? Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. Yeah, the Mia Ex Machina has arrived. Yes, that's true, but... Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks. Yes, but those comments appear to have no importance whatsoever. Very well. Then we shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor? Is something the matter, Mr. Godot? Nothing. Excuse me. Oh, Sir Lawyer, looks like you're one step too late. If you think so much falsehoods will do anything at me, Luke Atme. Let's hear it. Huh? It's true that the witness has made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination. Mr. Godot, what are you... Very well then, Mr. Luke Atme. I'm going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks. The defense would like to hear why you declared the defendant to be the true murderer. So please, give us one last bit of testimony. Wonder why Godot wavered there. Very interesting. Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief. The last testimony. Indeed, it is true that I was not at Lordly Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the key card and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. It was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. Salutations, hope everyone's well. We are Titus Lupus, thank you for stopping by and saying hi. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. And the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Zvari. Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy. This testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well. The witness's earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything. But of course... But, how did you know about the emergency buzzer? Police investigation documents went directly through me. And I always look over all the documents. It's elementary, Sir Lawyer. Are you going to make some even more trouble for us now, Sir Lawyer? I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. We cannot postpone Luke Atmey's trial any longer. This is your last chance. Hang on a second. Just one chance? Ha! It seems the party's about to begin. Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts that testimony. So it would seem. What do you mean, so it would seem? Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it. Cup number 17. The last cup. Seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial. I have to find a fatal contradiction in his testimony. And I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it. Remember, you only get one chance. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination. The last testimony. Could almost have the worst ADHD. Imagine if it takes 17 cups of coffee to fix it. Yeah. So, this is a unique game over. Sort of. If you press any statement that's not the right one, you just lose instantly. Mr. Atmey, about this last remark.
Objection.
You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. What? I said this before. There's still one thing you haven't proven. That this scum was in Kane Bullard's office that night. And now, it's time for me to drink my last cup. Mr. Wright, I will hold you to the end of your bargain. Yeah, so if you fail, you just instantly lose. Even if you have full health there, you still lose instantly. Anyway, so that there's literally just one statement you gotta press to get through this. I know which one it is already. I played this before. So let's see. No, we know that, so there's no contradiction there. Had to leave to see another vital important job request. We can't prove anything there, so let it slide. I know about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph ready. That's exactly what we're trying to prove. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. Again, he explains it now, so that's not the statement. Thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. So yeah, we know about that. The keycard and wallet are in our evidence. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. Okay, buzzer was hit. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Okay, sound argument. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. Okay, we know that he had the outfit on. And the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook it for the color of the jewel. Okay, can't be proven because he's dead. Sorry, therefore all the evidence points to the poor boy. So, no, everything holds up. But, he makes a mistake in his testimony. And, it's not the most obvious thing, but, think back to something that surprised Phoenix and Godot and the judge and Maya earlier. Something that Ron admitted that no one else knew. So if Ron had admitted that to the court before Mr. Atme got here, and he didn't know, how would he have known that Ron was wearing the mask-to-mask outfit? Mr. Atme, about this last remark.
Objection.
You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Godot. What? Mr. Atme, it seems you finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder. How can you say that? Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. Is that correct? Indeed, that's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof. More like your deductions prove that you're a fool. I'm sorry, whatever do you mean? For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty. When exactly did we learn that fact? That Ron Delight was dressed as Mask-to-Mask when he went to the scene of the crime. That was, it was just a few hours ago. Back when my sixth cup was still looking at me with a cold stare. That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else about this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should know are those who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There's no way that you should have known about that. You were in the courtroom next door, being tried as Mask-to-Mask. So then, enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information? Well... Come on, this detective must have known about it. He probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand. And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his Mask-to-Mask outfit. There's only one, and only one way, for Detective Atme to have found that out. Only one. One way, you say? Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony. For a second, my client witnessed the real killer. Mr. Delight never saw his attacker, so there's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atme. It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now if you turn that statement around, it stands to reason that the real killer had also seen Ron Delight. Impossible. Detective Atme, you saw Mask-to-Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you had killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron Delight. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing. Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. It's the same line you gave yesterday. But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. Spamton! Evil Spamton is dead. Well, or he's guilty. What an awfully complicated incident. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atme tried to frame Ron Delight. He then claimed to be guilty as Mask-to-Mask in order to escape his true crime. And to that end, he came up with this plan. To use the double jeopardy rule when making his alibi. At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth. Excuse me. I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man. Besmirching him with the title of murderer. Don't ignore me! Oh, I didn't realize you were there. Why wouldn't he be? About the verdict. I know. You never committed any murder. That's right. I'm so glad you understand that, but... I really am Mask to Mask! Huh. So thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? What was it you said? Double jeopardy? Now that you mention it, I've been careless. Careless? What do you think, Mia? As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. A defendant can never be tried twice for a crime in which he was once found innocent. Then, Mask to Mask is really innocent? It would seem so. For now. For now. Now then, this court finds the defendant... Boy, this is really lucky. Wait, this isn't so good at all. You see, the thing is, I am still Mask to Mask after... October 14, 3:35 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 4. You did it, Phoenix. Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days. Oh? I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of torn these days. You mean about becoming the master of the Crime Channeling School? Trial's over, everyone take a drink because we need it. There's Gumshoe with his confetti, yep. Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother. Misty Faye, right? Watch over her, will you, Phoenix? Of course. Well then, see you around. Mia. Mr. Wright. I don't know what to say. Congratulations, Mr. Delight. Thank you so much. No, wait. Nothing really matters. No. Come on, just be happy already. Maya. You included the murder charges and got off as Mask to Mask to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything. Huh? What do you mean? Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming Mask to Mask? I did it all for one reason. For her. You mean your wife, Desiree? She hates criminals more than anything. Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she? She always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure. So that's why you became Mask to Mask? Yes, but it's all over now. Broken Bowl can never be put back together. That's not true, right, Nick? Right. Really? Can't we go back to the way things were? You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it. I can? I kinda wish you would check with me first. Mr. Delight, even if a bowl is always broken, there's always a way to put it back together. The sacred urn. Desi was the one who found this. Desiree, your wife. She always believed in you, Ron. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have anything to worry about. Ah, there you are. Miss Delight. You did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy. Thank you. I appreciate that. But, I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you? Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you'd quit KB Security. I never imagined you were really Mask to Mask, either. Miss Delight, what are you going to do now that you know? You're not really going to leave him, are you? Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's really fast. So fast there's no way he could ever get away. But didn't you say you hated criminals? Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective. I see. My Ronnie went and declared his crimes before he committed them, like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous. Chivalrous? I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is filled with thrills and excitement. Desi. Desiree, you really do love Ron, don't you? Nicky boy. Yes? I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us. Oh, well, take care of yourself. And pay me. You too, Nicky boy. Ooh, I can feel my face going red. Mr. Nick, Mystic Maya, congratulations! Talk about bad timing. Mr. Nick, how could you with another man's wife in front of Mystic Maya? No, you got it all wrong. I'll never forgive you. Never, ever. So just as the case came to a close, so too did my consciousness. Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together. But I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before. Episode 2, The Stolen Turnabout, the end. Also, keep in mind how many times the urn has been broken now. So it's been broken twice. It's been broken twice. Don't worry. The urn comes up again. Really hate the pair acting that cliche. What? A brand new episode has been added. Episode 3, Recipe for Turnabout. Someone really needs to give Ami a break. Good one. Thank you.